So almost 6 months after I started learning how to draw, I finally decided to make the switch from a pencil to a pen. And I will talk about why the decision in this video. I will also maybe help encourage you to start drawing with a pen instead of a pencil. I'll show you what a beginner who still needs like guidelines and the construction below to draw properly uses a pen, and I will get into a bit of like what kind of pens I use, and yeah, basically this is like a farewell video to me using pencils. So let's just get started. I do have a special spot for pencils because this is what I started my drawings with. Drawing with pencil was fun. You could erase things out. There's an eraser but there were also some issues that came with drawing with a pencil. It was graphite, and the thing is, I draw and then I close my sketchbook, come back 2 days later, and it's like smudged everywhere. That plus also the constant issue of having to sharpen it, and the usual issues with a graphite pencil. Like I had to prepare for a lot of things before I started like actual drawing process, and that was a bit annoying. Drawing with a pencil was fun. It had its issues, but there was one glaring problem. I would just spend too much time on a drawing that isn't even going to be good, because I spend countless hours just erasing my mistakes instead of actually learning from them. So if I drew a box not in perspective, I should have just moved on and drew another box in perspective, draw more boxes to get the hang of it. But I was like erasing the details and adjusting really fine things which don't really matter. That was the first thing. And the second thing is pencil sketches are so thin, and I have like multiple lines on top of each other, and my brain would just see the bigger picture. But when I tried doing the same thing in tablet, where I would sketch and then do line art on top, the line art actually looked really bad. So drawing with a pencil actually was hiding my errors and also giving me this sort of freedom, this liberty of actually being able to erase my work and do again, which I don't think is a bad thing. But if I wanted to improve, I have to like actively know what I'm doing wrong. So it's better to just practice 100 boxes than to try to perfect one box, if that makes sense. And with the drawing tablet, again, it's like you have Control Z. If you draw a line that you don't like, you just undo it, try again, and that's fine and all. But I didn't have the ability to work around my mistakes. And also one of the comments that I got, it was really good. Drawing with a tablet, especially with the ability to do Control Z as a beginner, is like it can be quite harmful, because you don't really see what the problem is. You're just trying to eyeball something until it looks good, and that's like, sure, you're training your intuition, but you also have to train your skill. And so I thought I needed to hold myself accountable for whatever line I put in my paper. Like, this thing is going to be permanent. If I make certain mistakes, I can just move on. I learn from my mistake. I understand, okay, this is what I did wrong, and then I just move on. And so when I got my third sketchbook, I thought I would just draw on it completely with a pen. When I was drawing on my drawing tablet, I was handling it very carefully. It was my first drawing tablet. I didn't really have an understanding of how pressure sensitivity works or whatever. And one of my irrational fears is like I drop a pen and then it lands like so and it destroys the nib. I don't know, it's just an irrational fear. But I always handled the pen in my drawing tablet very lightly. They gave me like 3 fucking extra nibs, and I didn't know how long a nib is supposed to last in a drawing tablet. So I was just using really soft lines, like doing everything very softly. So when I was drawing in Clip Studio Paint, I would just increase the size of the brush, but use like really soft lines. Having done that for like a month or two, I think I developed that sort of intuitive awareness on pressure sensitivity, like where if you press too hard, it's more dark, and if you press too light, it's a bit lighter, something like that. But I did try it here when I was drawing these, and then I was very lightly using my pencil and like multiple lines to get things done here, like so. And then I would like add more details like that. And then I started doing some barred plates as well here, a few eyes, and you can see like the concept of pressure sensitivity I'm already putting into practice here. I'm drawing like really fine lines for these guidelines, and then for these structures on top, I'm using like harsher lines to make them pop out. Here I thought, okay, if this technique works with a pen, if this pressure sensitivity thing works with a pencil, surely it should work with a pen too, right? And maybe this is my time to actually start using a pen. And I did. I used this pen right here. It's a big crystal medium black, which is like 1 millimeters, I think. But yeah, if you do very soft things, it draws very softly. Like I have to draw multiple times to get that shape to pop out. But I can also go dark and start highlighting things in dark. You can see in this foot, for example, the guidelines are very, very difficult to notice. The line weight that I used while drawing this form is it sort of overpowers the guidelines. That's what I'm trying to say. These lines, I don't even know if you can see them. It was actually liberating to know that if I make a mistake, I can just move on. For example, I was practicing hands. This one turned out great. I actually misjudged the length of the cast, and like I had to make it short, but it's like barely visible. Who cares with this point? Like everybody's attention will be here. Here I used really dark lines, but then I realized my proportions are really off. Like the length of the palm is really long. But so what? Like just move on, bro. It's just a drawing of a hand that you're practicing. I wrote nope and I moved on. Also here, when I drew a human face, I wanted to add like a sort of guideline here to separate my planes of the face. And yeah, again, the same thing. The guideline, nobody even notices that unless you're like actively looking for guidelines. Basic hierarchy stuff, I don't know. A quick note before I move on. I'm using a ballpoint pen, and ballpoint pen actually has that, that quality where you can sketch very lightly but also sketch very dark. But there are also other pens, like for example this is a Pilot something. It's like, but with this pen maybe I'm just not skilled enough, but I cannot get like very thin lines. If I even if I do something very thin, it's going to produce really thick lines. Even though I was using pen, I like still do not have the skills or the capacity or the confidence to use this pen. All of these are done with a pen, and I'm very proud of that. Mistakes happen, shit happens. For example, the actual reference photo does not have a very thick looking face. He has a more thinner face, but who cares? I mean, it's a mistake, sure, and then you move on. Same here, like I drew the face too long, but who cares? At least it looks good, and then you move on. Next time you improve. But even here, like when I'm using guidelines, these guidelines are very rarely visible. Again, comes back to the hierarchy stuff that I was talking about. There's like barely visible. Even something like gesture lines, when I'm drawing my hands here, the gesture line is, nobody cares. Nobody's looking at that. They're just looking at the hand. I've always liked the notion of hatching. Some of my favorite artists, I love the way they hatch, and I've always wanted to do hatching, so that is also something I'm learning with drawing with a pen. These were like the initial stages of drawing with a pen. An example of why you should start using pen as well. It's not really that scary. All right, but now that I had found my footing, now that I was confident in just putting things down with an ink, my next step was to sort of improve my line quality and my pen control even more. And also my cross hatching, it looks way better with a pen than with a pencil. And so I just drew some random stuff here, did some sketching, had to understand values and how, hatching and cross hatching come into play to create lighter and darker values. All of those things, they are like a different dimension of its own. Another thing that I did in order to get over my fear of pen was this exercise. And here what I do is I try to draw something, but I do not lift the pen off the paper. I just go in like this, and then for example I take a reference photo, and this is just to get like my fear out. I've seen concept artists do this. I've seen like Karl Kopensky do this stuff when he's sketching something, and that's what I wanted to do, sort of like to create values and create shapes, but not lift my finger or not lift my pen off the paper. Cross like that, maybe add a bit more darker shade here for the eyes, go like that here, and then for the nose, just create like values and shapes, and then a mouth right here, and something dark to just to distinguish the cheeks, the ears, and then the head like that. I start with really thin lines, and then once I find my footing, I'm like, aha, I like this line, and then I go deep. Yeah, but this is like one of the exercises that I did here with like 3 of these. This one, and this one, where I just tried to draw whatever I was seeing without lifting my hand off the paper. it looks good. I mean, this is what if you're a beginner and if you're trying to draw with a pen, this is what it's going to look like. Yeah, and it's not going to look perfect. It's not going to look as beautiful as professional artists, but it's not going to look as bad as you think as well. Like, as long as the structure, the value, and the shapes are defined, you can get things done. Here I tried using a blue ballpoint pen, and honestly I just love the look of blue ballpoint pen here. It has a soft, I don't know how to describe it, but it has like a very soft, very nice look. It's not as harsh as drawing with a black ink. Like, even the hard lines here, they look quite soft. So now I've been using mostly also pink. I don't know why, I just like it's nice, it's bubbly, it's a bit more lighter value. It just looks really cool, and it smudges really well. This is the Zebra Z Grip medium ballpoint pen. Also here, like, I drew legs quite weird, like this leg was really behind, but looking at the bigger picture, I think nobody really notices those guidelines anymore. It's just people just look at this figure and be like, okay, it's a girl waving. This one I tried to capture like the fur coat that she was wearing, which not really able, but I think my hatching has gotten like really good when using a ballpoint pen. Super happy with this one as well. And yeah, some more ballpoint pen drawing things. Like, even I can say that this is a huge improvement compared to these, because I'm understanding more about line control and line thickness and all of those good stuff. Item studies with shades, values, all of those good stuff. And it actually gave me the confidence to also work with something like this, which is, well, I call it a sign pen. I don't know what it's called. I'm pressing lightly for lighter areas and then darkly for darker areas. But the level of line thickness that you can do with a ballpoint pen is honestly, like, it's insane. Like, it goes from really thin to really thick, which I really like. Yeah, that's about it. That's where my journey is at. Some more, yeah, like, if you make a mistake right here, foot's supposed to be a bit back, just move on. Try again, move on. So that's pretty much where I'm at with drawing with a pen, my capabilities. Honestly, not all pen is the same for me. Like, the amount of confidence I have with a ballpoint pen is much higher than something like this, which just bleeds ink. Even if you draw a very thin line with this, it's going to look very thick. But ball pen for me have been really interesting to draw with. They are almost similar to pencils in a way, but without giving me that headache of sort of having to sharpen them, thinking about smudging issues. But these also help me like put permanent lines down, so I cannot really erase. My only way to erase certain lines is to just use values or create shadows or whatever. But yeah, I can just start thin and then go thicker in order to hide my errors. And that's already a huge improvement for me in terms of drawing. They also look nice. I really like the look of a blue ballpoint pen compared to a black one. So if you're also looking to start drawing with a pen or any other medium other than pencil, I think, especially for a pen, I think it's better you look into ballpoint pens as well. Not like a requirement, but this offers so much more control than compared to things like these. Just my opinion. Maybe that will change in the future once I get better at controlling my pen. But for now, yeah, ballpoint pen is the way to go for me. Hopefully this video also helped you sort of see what drawing with a ballpoint pen looks like for a beginner, how you can actually hide those errors as well, and how it's not like that scary of a thing. I actually draw a lot faster now. I also have better idea about shadows, about values, all those good stuff. My hatching has improved quite a bit, and I do not have to worry about smears all over my sketchbook. But that's it. Just wanted to give you a little update on my drawing journey, which this channel is all about, documenting my drawing journey. Oh, by the way, before you go, if you stayed till the end, thank you very much. We are very close to hitting 100 subscribers, which is like for me. So if you're new and you want to see more content, if you want to support me, feel free to subscribe. And once we reach 100 subs, I will make a fun video. Thank you. Bye-bye.